am here to drop in for a little talk about getting prepped to do a personal panchakarma, a personal self-care panchakarma, and what that is all about. And I really just wanted to talk about sort of the best way to get yourself prepared to do this work so that it really supports you in following through. Because there's a lot of movable parts, on the way to reach a goal. And in this case, when we're looking at panchakarma, we're often looking at transformation. We're looking at transforming some aspect of ourselves, our lives, which really our lives are just an extension of where we're at within ourselves. And this transformation always includes a shedding of skins, a need to release what no longer serves, a need to move through what can be an uncomfortable process of becoming, right? Becoming is never necessarily a smooth and easy process. But it's often necessary. It's often necessary to be uncomfortable when we're leveling up to a new potential in our lives, to express our purpose, to express why we're here. And, maybe your particular goal, what you're aiming for, maybe you're like, well, I don't know if I would really call like my goal purpose. Ain't all that deep. But, the reality is anything that you are doing to better yourself, to grow, to shed old patterns that no longer serve you, to look at the tough stuff, to look at the ways that you limit yourself, the way you sabotage yourself, the way you hold yourself back, to look at your shadow aspects, to look at the stories you tell yourself, your false belief constructs that are based on somebody else's version of you or who they think you can be, or what they define as possible for you. To do all of this work, all this sorting work, all this release work, all this integration work, even if you think your goal, where you hope to be at the end of a 40-day journey isn't anything all that lofty or spiritual in terms of being in alignment with your purpose. Anytime you do anything to heal, to evolve, to grow, and to shed what no longer serves you, you're living on purpose. You're moving in alignment with your purpose. And we're talking about this element of action, because when we're trying to see division, when we're trying to grow something in our lives, we have to first have the initial inspiration, right? This initial inspiration gets downloaded from the ether, and it comes down into our mind, and the intellect defines what this inspiration is, and that third eye gets activated, and it brings forward the inception of the vision, the thing, that wants to be externalized, immaterial reality. And from there, it sinks into our heart, and that's where we find this piece of purpose, this vision, it resonates. And where there's that resonance, there is the passion, the fire, that drives the purpose forward. We have to go through the emotional process, right? We We dive deeper into the subconscious, and we notice the ways that we sabotage ourselves and the ways we've played small, or the ways that we have told ourselves that we have to fit within this defined framework that others have put upon us. There's looking at ways that you've been held back in the past and how those trace back to certain wounds. There's a lot of ways that you have to take accountability, and you recognize how some of the things you tell yourself are excuses, and that's why you haven't hit the mark, or that's why you haven't found your way up until now. It's multi-layered. It's a multi-layered experience. And it's deep work. It's transformational work. Even if what you're going for with your goal is to launch your business. It's like we talk about in Ayurveda, it's all interconnected. It's all the same trip. Mind, body, spirit, it's all the same trip. You are that, all of it, You are that initial inspiration that comes in on the ether, and you are the intellect that defines what that inspiration means, and you are the vision that awakens, and you are the passion and drive and purpose that fuels it, and you are all of the sum of the experiences you have been through in your life leading up to this point. You are past, present, and future all at once. You are all of it. It's all one. It's all that. Ted affirms that. He shook his head yes. You are that energy. We all are. We all are. And we've all agreed to come in as co-creators. So it's always in alignment with purpose. Anytime you decide to take up a devotional act and activate that process of creativity, you're living on purpose. You're stepping into that role as the creator in your life, the creatrix. You're birthing new things into being. And sometimes when you birth new things into being, it requires, having a look at what needs to be shed, what needs to die, what's had its time. So it's a very deep journey. It's a very deep journey. And it's a journey of discovery anytime you set out on something like this. And for this reason, and have it be more of an alchemical process rather than this kind of like westernized perspective where it's just about, yeah, I hit the goal, I made my mark, I got success, and it's all just about what's achieved externally. We're looking at it from more of a holistic perspective, the holistic perspective of Ayurveda, where it's about the journey, and the destination is like the sweet reward, but each destination only births a new path to choose, and that's what life is. Ted's really agreeing with this talk. So, we're bringing forward this proposition now about moving into action. It takes action to make the dream happen. It's wonderful to sit and fantasize about it, feel enthusiastic about it, feel excited, inspired by it, drift off in the middle of your busy day and think about what that will be like when I arrive in that place, when I achieve this, when I finally do whatever that thing is that you've been wanting to do, but you haven't actually been doing. And it is a tricky way. We sabotage ourselves. Sometimes it just feels so good to, stay in that place of what if, and building the dream internally without actually taking the step to take action and see it happen externally. And that has a lot to do with usually what's required to take action in many cases, and that's a certain level of discipline. Balance isn't when you come just 100% from your passion and your heart. It's also when you utilize that inspiration, that intellect, that vision, and you build a bridge between the two. So you're able to move forward in a way that actually provides an avenue for the creative force to come through. It even works like that in Ayurveda with mantra, for example. I'm thinking of Ganesh, since we're speaking of obstacles, and after the Gayatri mantra, Ganesh mantra is often invoked as that masculine energy, the yang energy that provides the avenue for the creative force to manifest, to open the way, right? So you can think of that as like the intellect, the vision, the sights that are set, that's very much like the avenue. And then what's needed is this harmony, this harmonious coming together with the feminine, with the yin aspect. We can also look at this in really Ayurvedic terms. We can look at this as, the Shiva, the Shakti, and providing that Shakti, that yin energy, the avenue, the way through the container that's created, right? Using the intellect, employing the vision, practicing discernment, creating the way, which is built on discipline, having some plans, and being mindful of how to bring something into being that might require a great push of effort, might require quite a bit of concentration, might require a fair amount of organization, like really thinking about it, putting yourself in those shoes of stepping into this vision. What does that look like? I mean, what all does it entail? Probably a lot of changes to the way you typically do things, and that's not always a comfortable process. And it can be demanding, right? You might have to expend a lot of energy. You might have to get super organized. And that also means that you're going to really have to support your body, show up for yourself, show up for your self-care. And self-care, as we've gone over many times before, is not just about how you care for your body physically by eating nourishing foods and making sure you're getting proper sleep and giving the body enjoyable movement, getting some exercise in, remembering to breathe through it all, having some kind of way to unwind, relax, give yourself a little R&R, some TLC, but also, creating just empty spaces too, where you can sink into what you've been experiencing. You can do any, taking out the trash mentally of just stuff that's clogging up your consciousness, having free rent, in your head space. Unless you're going to follow it up with action, it's just pointless to keep it all up there, right? Then it's just clogging that avenue, it's putting boulders in that avenue. It's creating obstacles that are going to hinder, where you're setting your sights, and then you won't be able to hit the target, so it's like taking out the trash, keeping the headspace clear, having that clarity. All of these things, like they're all so essential. They're all so important. All these pieces, making sure you're digesting your emotions, digesting your experiences, that you're being present. Really, if you're present, you can never go wrong with this. you're present, if you practice presence. And I would say, if anything, Panchakarma and embarking on a personal Panchakarma. And I'm going to share a bit what that's about. Embarking on a Panchakarma, a personal Panchakarma, is really a fire test. You know, it's a fire test of truth. You are really challenging yourself to be in integrity and to be aligned with the path that supports you staying in that place, that has you living your truth and holding yourself accountable, walking your talk, you know, and taking responsibility for your life, for your circumstances, even if they're difficult, you know. And it's sometimes it's just the roll of the dice, right? Sometimes obstacles are put on your path. You can't control what happens around you. You can only be in charge of your response to things. If you respond, if you react, you know. So it's about being in integrity, being in alignment with your truth, and making sure that the steps you take resonate with that they are in alignment with that they're harmonious with that, and that you also create this structure, the stability in your life as you move through bringing these visions into fruition, that you're moving in a way that's in integrity with your truth, that's in alignment with that. And that you think about what you're wanting to create. You know, I imagine you're wanting to create whatever it is you're calling in, you're wanting it to be something that actually pours back into you, you know, something that has a reciprocal energy, that as you're putting out energy, you also feel really nourished by it, you know, that it's something that speaks to you on a soul level, that it's a wise investment of your time and energy because it actually uplifts you, it enhances your life, and it provides an opportunity for growth, you know. So Panchakarma is all about 5 actions of purification. And, you know, normally we do this very much like a hands-on approach. You know, in a typical Panchakarma, you would be fed khichdi, and you would have all kinds of Ayurvedic assessments, and you would get all kinds of Ayurvedic body work therapies, and you would have a whole lifestyle, you know, plan and way to move forward outlined for you. And you'd learn all about your Prakriti, your birth constitution, and which foods are likely to best support you, and what plant allies are calling out to work with you, and looking at the challenges on your spiritual path and ways that you can temper, you know, those challenges, the ways that you can soften the extremes, and find that center place where you can really be in the flow of your life, releasing all the things that are keeping you from that, you know, keeping you from coming into your center, all the stuff that's like kind of like on the periphery, floating around in the universe of you. And, you know, kind of like sending that this image, like sending that shit to the black hole, you know. Just like so much flotsam and jetsam of previous explorations of the outer limits went awry that are still orbiting, you know, your sun, the sun, which, you know, in astrology represents you, your sun, your solar return. coming back to the center of you. And it's funny because, you know, the sun is also like the center of our little galaxy, or, you know, so um, it really is just about that, you know, and we do this in Panchakarma through many different means, mind, body, spirit techniques. You usually have a team of Ayurvedic practitioners that are working there, holding space for you, because really you're the one who does healing. And I've talked about this many times before, but I'm not really, you know, one for this label. Like I'm a healer. I don't know. It just rubs me the wrong way, unless it's spoken of in terms of healing the self, because we're all engaged in that work and we are all healing ourselves. Healer, heal thyself. I mean, that's where it comes from. But I often find like this terminology, I'm a healer, and it just comes from such a place of like more ego-centered need for acknowledgement, you know, of somehow fixing somebody, which I think is just bullshit. I just have to be real, you know. I feel that's a really kind of a bullshit concept. And I always sort of refer to myself as a space holder, because that's what I do in my work as an Ayurvedic practitioner. It's also what I do when I work with um, my clients, you know, that I read for. It's the same trip, but it's really just I'm holding the space, um, and I'm bringing in, you know, supportive energy for the individual I'm working with to gain access to their own keys, you know, to find their own keys that really have been under their nose the whole time. Or maybe they've known, but they kind of been through a rough patch and they just need that extra little piece of affirmation that, yeah, you know, you're on the right track. You're going in the right direction. You know, sometimes we just need words of encouragement, right? Words of support. But I'm really just there to kind of like point a finger to like some ways out to explore from confusion, or from feeling stagnant, or not knowing what the next move should be, or how do I do this thing, you know, how do I free myself from all this past energy, whatever the individual is struggling with. I'm just there to hold space for it and to illuminate, to help illuminate, you know, shed some light on what is already right there for them to see, which is everything inside themselves. And they're the ones who are the healers. They're the ones doing the healing work. So I really consider Panchakarma that. Panchakarma is holding space, holding a respectful space to do the healing work that's needed to get to the other side and step into the potential, you know, the potential that is everybody's potential, you know, to live on purpose, to actualize our purpose, and to share our energy, our gifts, our ashay, however you wish to look at it, you know, our medicines, to share that with the world. And in aligning with that part of us that's in our ultimate integrity, by us doing that, it's just this tremendous gift. It's this tremendous gift. It's just like renewable energy. It just gives and gives and gives and gives, because when you give from that place of integrity, and when you create from that place of mind, body, spirit, authenticity, it's like this force that goes out and helps kindle the fire in everyone who receives that. And then they too will go out and they'll kindle somebody else's fire, you know? And then the next thing you know, you have this big glowing circle of people lit by the fire of purpose. And that brings incredible transformation, not only on an individual level, but on a collective level. So in typical Panchakarma, there's many means that we employ to get there, things that are outlined in the Vedas. And many times people will even travel to India to receive Panchakarma. They might go through, a 40-day Panchakarma in India and have this space held for them. But I've developed a concept over the years that I have worked as an Ayurvedic practitioner, and it's that it's a great empowerment to be able to hold that space for yourself by moving through your life with a level of accountability that can be dedicated to seeing a vision through and to do what needs to be done to actually take action and bring it into being through purifying mind, body, spirit with a focused practice as sadhana, a sadhana of sorts for an extended period of time. And I like to work with 40 days. And I call it Panchakarma life. It's like, I love doing this, like picking a single focus, and your focus can be anything. It can be an external goal, like, hey, I want to launch my business within the next 40 days. It can be a creative goal, like I want to write my album within the next 40 days, or I want to write that book I've been meaning to write in the next 40 days, or it can be more health oriented. I want to be able to heal my back pain in the next 40 days, or I want to be able to release my addiction to food in the next 40 days, or I want to drop alcohol in the next 40 days. I want to heal my rift with my loved one in the next 40 days. I want to go and tell that person I'm sorry in the next 40 days, whatever your goal is. And I think you can see from those examples that it can go deep. It can go as deep as you want it to go. But I will tell you that even if you look at something as simple as like, I want to release back pain in the next 40 days, you may think, oh, but that doesn't sound like a very lofty goal or a very spiritual goal when, somebody else is choosing to go on a path of like healing a connection or starting a nonprofit or whatever you've slapped your definitions around as being a noble pursuit. But did you ever think of, let's take it deep. Okay. Let's really look at this, what it means to take action. Okay. So let's use this. I like this back pain, because who doesn't deal with back pain at some point in their lives? Something we all can relate to, right? So let's say you have chronic back pain and you're miserable. It's difficult for you to get quality sleep. It's difficult for you to function in life. You don't have the sense of freedom in your body. And as a result, you start feeling really tired. You start feeling cranky. Soon you're popping off. You can't go out and do any of the things that you enjoy doing, any of the recreational activities you enjoy doing, because your body just doesn't move that way anymore. And if you do, you end up with a back spasm and you're on your back for, 3 days. You don't want to go to the show. You don't want to go out and, hang out with the gang. You don't want to go dancing, with your girlfriends. You don't want to go and, play pool with the guys. You don't want to do any of that because you know that, if you're on your feet too long, then your back's starting to hurt and you feel miserable. And the work that you have been doing normally requires you to sit at the computer and spend hours upon hours there a day. And the more that you sit and you do your job, the more your back hurts. And now you're even frustrated with work. And that affects the energy you bring to your work. Transforming your back pain could be pretty cathartic. It could improve your work. It could improve your attitude. It could improve the way you feel about yourself, about your life. You could go out and you could be able to connect with people once again, go out and be able to have the freedom in your body to do the things you enjoy doing, dance again, roller skate again, mountain climb again, surf again, whatever floats your boat, have the confidence, have the confidence you were lacking before because you were so used to dealing with pain all the time that after a while it just made you feel like, maybe in some cases even like a burden if you had to get support from other people to help you out because you were hurting real bad. It changes your whole frequency, your whole energy. It's never just about like the end result. It's the whole journey of it. And along the way, you're healing something physically, you learn like, oh my gosh, I can see how this back pain, this is around Muladhara chakra. It's all my lower back. It's all that root chakra issue. I feel that this is like, I feel the way this is connected to my sense of stability, the way it brings up these, core root chakra issues for me about how am I going to be able to support myself if my body's hurting so much I can't even handle going to work. Ways in my life that I don't feel supported. Ways in my life that I don't feel connected. When you approach it from a Panchakarma angle where you're taking one aspect of your life that is a great big challenge for you and you're really funneling it, you're funneling it and you're getting it to this like pinpoint target of really one thing that you can shift that will radically transform your entire reality. It's all about like this container that you hold around it. And there's so many parts that go into that. So I really encourage you. I encourage you this week to get very clear on that one goal. And you probably are already clear on what that one goal is, because usually the thing that we need to do, the action we need to take that will really ignite our purpose and spark that alchemical, creative process of bringing a vision into actual reality, living it, not just dreaming about it, not just thinking about it, not thinking what if or I wish I could, but actually say, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. That's it's a very powerful transformational process, and it requires a lot of support, so if you got your vision, if you got your way forward, like what you want to do, and all that you need to do now is take action. Consider like what needs to really happen for that to manifest, what that looks like. And I encourage you to sort of like Push the envelope. That may seem a little counterintuitive, but I encourage you to like work to the edge of your comfort, because if you stay within your comfort zone, transformation doesn't happen. In order for there to be transformation, there has to be a bit of discomfort, a bit of straightening by fire. Things will not be easy. Anticipate this, understand this. Things will not be easy. Things will feel very unfamiliar. You will feel very challenged. At times you will feel frustrated. And it's all about having certain practices in place that can hold the container for all that comes up, because you do have to confront a lot of your shadow shit when you take something like this on and you say, okay, in 40 days, I'm going to bring this into being. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to actualize this vision. I'm actually going to do it. I'm not going to sit here and just think about what I wish I could do or what I would do if I could. I don't care what your goal is. You can. You can. And you might not know exactly how you're going to get there just yet, but that's the whole point of taking action, because once you take a step, the path rises to meet you and it forms before you. But it won't if you don't take a step. It's like that point of having to take a step at the crossroads. You can sit at the crossroads for an eternity, for a lifetime, thinking, should I go this way? Should I go that way? Should I do this? Should I do that? And not get anywhere. In order for there to actually be progression of your life, in order for you to actually live your life, be an active participant in your life, you have to live on purpose. And that requires you to take action. Taking action is a statement of commitment. And Panchakarma, this 40-day Panchakarma, self-care Panchakarma that I am encouraging you to embark on, is all about choosing which actions you are going to take in the 40-day period and being consistent with them day after day after day after day. And when it feels challenging, or when you feel like throwing in the towel, or, oh, I'll just pass on that today, I'll do that tomorrow. It's about being accountable to yourself. This kind of Panchakarma builds trust in yourself. And when you build trust in yourself, you also experience a rise in confidence. You feel empowered. It's a journey of empowerment, really. It seems like on one level, it could be just like a superficial pursuit, like, oh, I want to launch my business. But it's not. It's never just that. It's multi-layered. It's all things at all time. And so as you go to launch your business, you're going to bump up against all the ways that you don't feel up to par, all the ways you feel that you are less than, all the ways that you will try to talk yourself out of doing it because you're afraid of failure. You'll hear all those voices that you heard when you were growing up about who you were supposed to be and what you were capable of, and all of it. It's deep work. And Panchakarma holds the space around all of that. So you don't just go after a goal, but you actually go through a purification process of everything inside of you that has been keeping you from stepping into your full potential your whole life. But it's done on a very microcosmic level, with just one thing at a time for 40 days, one thing at a time. It's very much like a meditation and action practice. And I've been working with this for a while, with a few clients and really developing it. And it's always a beautiful experience. And so there's certain things, if you decide to take this on, if you decide to go on this journey, if you decide to explore this, there's certain things that you want to make sure that you have in place. And these things will really support you in following through, because it's real easy to go with the enthusiasm of initial inspiration and say, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to reach this goal and I'm going to do it in 40 days, and experience that initial burst of energy, right? That gives you that, first kind of out of the starting gate momentum. But how are you going to keep going when it starts to get hard? How are you going to keep going when you start bumping up against your excuses? How are you going to keep going when you are confronted with the ways that you do hold yourself back? And maybe those things are things that keep you in a very comfortable space. And to actually alter the course, you have to, really, change some things that are not easy to change, and that make you look at some kind of difficult things that maybe you haven't wanted to look at for a long time. And this is where all the beautiful pieces of Ayurveda come in to support you in this process of transformation. So it's about having a daily dinacharya. And I like, for this case, for the 40 days, I like having a real solid, morning dinacharya and evening dinacharya. And what is that? What is a dinacharya? It's a daily routine, a daily self-care routine. All right. So a good morning dinacharya would include, getting up and, doing the daily, brushing of the teeth. You could even do some oil pulling, splashing some water on the face, and just sort of getting yourself together for the day. You might want to do a little exercise, even something as simple as 10 rounds of sun salutations, just to get the body waked up, get the body used to, getting into the flow of the day. You might want to sit and make yourself a cup of coffee. Okay, not everybody wants to have herbal tea. Some people love coffee. There's nothing wrong with that. I know it's not Ayurveda, okay, but it's reality. I got coffee right here. Okay, it's not filled all the way up. I know this is a huge cup. It's not filled all the way up today. Have there been times in the past when I've had this filled up? You betcha. Okay. It's about a third of the way filled. I've really cut down, and that's like my fill for the day. I have it bulletproof style today. But maybe sitting with your morning coffee and getting centered for your day, maybe bringing in some spiritual influence, sitting with your morning coffee, out on the back porch, enjoying the sunshine and enjoying the birds singing and enjoying the rustle of the leaves on the trees, and maybe reading something inspirational. And having a notebook with you where you can jot down like your goals for the day, what you want to bring in for the day. You could do a little meditation if you liked, or whatever that looks like for you. Make yourself a nourishing meal if you're hungry, just creating like a morning self-care routine, a landing point. It's like a check-in point. Okay, let's do a check-in. All systems check. Are we ready to go into this day? Let's go into this day on the strongest foot, right? And then also having an evening dinacharya. This is the part that's often neglected. Most of the time, people, they go about the busyness of the day. They pick up all kinds of hitchhikers while they're out and about, all kinds of interactions and, difficult stuff that came up in the day, and touchy people they ran into, and, concerns that popped up that are kind of in your headspace, or, that difficult customer you dealt with at work, whatever the situation may be. And people kind of just come home and they plop down on the couch, and some people tune out with TV, and some tune out by surfing the web, some spill it out on, social media. But it's about kind of like switching that around and maybe creating some kind of bedtime ritual, an evening dincharya where, like maybe an hour before bed, before you plan on turning in, and kind of getting that to a more reasonable time if you struggle with, being up till all hours, burning the midnight oil, making sure you have enough sleep, quality sleep to support the energy output you need during the day to make your dreams happen, right? Step into those shoes. Maybe in that hour, before you go to bed, turn off the electronics, maybe dim the lights, maybe light some candles, create some ambiance, put on some sound bath music, you can find something on YouTube, just put it on. They have all kinds of really beautiful sound baths that uh, go for hours on end, and some of them have a nice black screen so you can even fall asleep to it if you like. You can pull out your yoga mat, and you don't even have to have any kind of routine. You can kind of just lay there and move your body as it feels good, or play some music and do a little freestyle dancing. Just flow and let yourself release, or put your feet up and read a good book, something that you really enjoy, and allow yourself to unwind. Maybe give yourself an abhyanga, get some really beautiful scented oil, rose, vanilla, and lavender vanilla combos of essential oils, in a warmed base oil, like an almond oil, or if you want to get real decadent, a kukui nut oil, or macadamia oil. Like, you can even do coconut. You could do coconut at this time of year, at the summertime. Just, luxuriate a little bit. Spend some time just showing appreciation for your body, and giving yourself a little pampering, a little TLC, a little soft landing at the end of your day. Just this simple practice. Okay, daily I'm going to do this. And then maybe you have a plan that once a week I'm going to give myself a full-on panchakarma. It's going to be a day of self-care. Every day for these, every day of these next 40 days, I'm going to focus on self-care. And then once a week, for each week of these 40 days, I'm going to pick a day where it's going to be like a self-care retreat. Maybe you take a nice soak in the tub with some mineral salts. You cleanse your energy body. You do 2 cups of baking soda, 2 cups sea salt or Epsom salt, and you just clear everybody else's energy off of you. Come into your center. You do some breath work, you do some pranayama, you do some meditation. Maybe you watch some ASMR. You might treat yourself to a massage out, or you give yourself abhyanga. Do some steam inhalations. Put some lavender, some lemon verbena, some rosemary, and some water that's been boiled, and put in a nice big basin. Just let it steep and tent your head, and breathe up all that goodness. Let it come inside and break up everything that's congested and everything that's got you like in a holding pattern inside. It really is so good for the lungs, and that lungs, taking in that prana, that oxygen more deeply, like that energizes. We need energy to take action, but it also breaks up what's stuck in the lungs, and you can clear out the heaviness, have emotional release, clear out the old grief, and give yourself a salt scrub, get your lymphatic system moving, moving a little bit too, getting some exercise in. That'll get your lymphatic system moving. Eating very mindfully, really listening to your body, listening to when your body is hungry, listening to what your body is asking for, what it really wants, not what your head says it should have, what your body really wants, what your body really needs. Paying attention to your meals, the gift of nurturing it is, really receiving the nourishment of it, letting it be a time when you sit, you relax, you receive, you nourish, and you experience the energy of the food. You could do neti pot. A lot of people are kind of scared about neti pot, right? It freaks them out a bit. I might do a video where I do a ghee neti pot, because it's really a lovely thing to do on a Panchakarma day that I'll share with all of you. But doing warm ghee in a neti pot, it's so nourishing. It's so nourishing for the whole endocrine system. It feels so good. And neti pot, is wonderful because it really clears that vision, right? It like clears that third eye, and it brings you into your center in a very calming way, so you can take action. But the goal is to move in a focused, calm, purposeful way, right? As you move toward your dream, as you move toward the vision you want to actualize, not to be moving, scattered and sort of in that frayed energy that is indicative of vata derangement. When you got too much ether air energy because you haven't pulled it down and like brought it into the body. Like sometimes if you do channeling work, if you do channeling work, there can be times when you sort of wander off into the alfalfa because you just go so far out into that ether energy. But it really is that as above, so below. And it is when we're bringing any kind of vision into being too. It's pulling that energy from the ether, the original inception of the inspiration, pulling it down and rooting it in the material, as above, so below. And it begins within you. You're the template for that. And I like this sort of like visualization of like the Ace of Cups when it comes to that. The Ace of Cups in tarot, it always shows this cup, and there's this energy coming from the ethers, from Akasha, that's pouring into this goblet. And this goblet is just full to overflowing. It's like this cornucopia of a goblet, just spilling over with blessings that's inexhaustible. And that's that flow. It's that flow of alignment, of being in that center, of being in that place where you can have your head in the clouds, but your feet are also on the ground, and it's about bringing in these different Ayurvedic practices to support you in that. So you can spend a whole day, really giving yourself a very focused, like self-care day. Or once a week for the 40-day cycle, you go all out, right? As if you were going to a spa, as if you were going on a retreat, but you're creating that for yourself within your home. And there's really easy ways that you can facilitate that. And they're very practical things, making sure that you have the food that you need on hand to support you properly nourishing your body. Making the commitment to have things that you can whip up, in a nice batch. So you don't have to rely on convenience food. So you don't have to go, out to eat. So you can really take accountability for nourishing yourself and giving yourself quality meals. And you can sit and you can relax and create a beautiful ambiance for you at your dinner table. And really take in the nourishment of that experience. To take that time to nurture yourself without the TV on, without staring at your phone, without distracting yourself, just being with the gift of the food and experiencing that level of nourishment is foreign to most people. All of these things, they're presence-packed practices. I've run into people so often, they say, I don't know how to meditate. I'm so uncomfortable when I meditate. You all can meditate. It doesn't matter. You all can meditate. You all can meditate. For some people, sitting in lotus pose and, turning the eyes inwardly up to the third eye, tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth, oming away, that does not work for them. It doesn't work for everybody. It's not everybody's way. Your way is okay. You can turn a meal into a meditative practice. Eating in silence, appreciating, the colors of the meal before you, how it looks plated, the ambiance you've created around your dining experience, noticing the textures, the aromas of the food, following those bites down into the stomach, feeling the way they land in the belly, the warmth they leave there. I mean, you can turn mealtime into a meditative practice. And I encourage you to meditate, meditate, meditate. It's coming forward so strongly in the collective right now, this need to meditate, to ground, to center in this way. It's been coming through so strongly, so strongly. But you don't have to just sit idle. You can be a meditation in action, a meditation in motion, you know? So weave these practices into your life, weave these Ayurvedic practices into your life in a way that actually works for you, a way that resonates for you. Find your own way, make your own way, and piece these together and create whatever meditative practice you need so you can stay in that center, so you can stay present, which is the point of power, right? It's where your actions are effective. It's where your actions are in alignment. If you ever, are worried about what actions should I take, the minute that you can come out of this place of indecision and confusion is when you are actually in the present moment. When you're in the present moment, things are very clear. And focus on that moment by moment by moment, as opposed to constantly projecting into the future. Oh, what should I do? Or constantly looking back at the past at what you should have done. Instead, what does this moment ask of me? Even that can be a meditation. Presence, just being present in your day-to-day life. When you notice that your attention is starting to go to the future and you're worrying about something that might happen a day down the road, 10 days down the road, whatever. Notice the way these are distractions. They all distract you from the present moment. And the present moment is your point of power. And it's the only place that you can actually take an action. Notice when you're constantly looking back at what happened 10 years ago, you're starting to go in your story. This person did this to me, and that made me feel like that. And it's because this went down like this that's why things turned out this way. And that's why I'm like this. And that's why it'll never be like that. It's bullshit. Distraction. People get very attached to their suffering. People get very attached to their excuses. And a panchakarma just cuts the cord on all of that. It's that ability to be discerning, to call yourself to the mat and go, I see what I'm doing. I'm not being present. I'm not being present in this moment with the work to be done. I'm trying to distract myself from it. Come on. Come back here. Come right back here. What is this moment asking of me right now? And dropping into that. And practical matters too. That's why it's helpful to have that morning dinacharya, that morning routine where you look and you say, okay, I want to achieve this goal. What is the task now? What is the task of this moment? What can I realistically do today? Understanding what I got before me, what's going on in my life emotionally, not wanting to push myself to the point of overwhelm or burnout, but challenging my edge, maybe taking some uncomfortable steps to actually bring about a progression in this goal that I'm trying to achieve, and writing it down. Or putting it on your phone, on your Google Calendar. That too is an action. That too is a statement of follow through. All right, we're going to put it on the calendar. I'm doing this. This is what my day looks like. I like Google Calendar as a tool. just for those of you who are open to working with that, because it's so easy to edit. Let's say something unexpected happens. You were planning on taking these action steps today towards your goal, but okay, this curveball came my way. I got to deal with this. It's really easy to move things around on Google Calendar. It's easy to change the length of time that's blocked out. It's easy to move it to a different day. It's easy to shift around on your schedule the time that you're doing these things. It provides that container so you don't have to have all tabs open, right? in your consciousness browser all the time. You don't have to have all tabs open. You can stay focused on the task at hand. You know, and do make time for your spirit. Do make time for your spirit, whatever that looks like to you, and having a daily practice. And I always recommend that if you're going to embark on a 40-day self-care panchakarma where you're really going to chip away at bringing a particular goal into being, while it's lovely to bring in all these other pieces, right? Like giving your body this care and, you know, creating space for stress reduction, calming practices, meditation, and also naturally space for the emotions to surface and come up, which anytime that you're moving your lymph, you know, whether you're giving yourself salt scrubs or whether you're getting some exercise in, doing some yoga, you're going to get your emotions moving too. The two are very intimately connected. So it's good. You know, you get all this flow going, all this movement going. It's all very positive. You know, but there's also that piece of like, make sure you're giving some space for your spirit to just drop in and connect with your spirit, because it's about having all those pieces integrated. And I'm talking spirit here, okay? I'm not talking religion. So it doesn't matter what your religious belief is. And not everybody is religious. Some people are just connected to their spirit, or they have a philosophical view of life, and whatever they view as that path, that route that is a direct connection for them to the deepest stuff of their soul. I think that that's a beautiful thing, you know, and it's about honoring, you know, honoring what your path is and what that looks like for you, and what connects you to your spirit. Bring that in, make that part of your daily panchakarma. For some people, that may be prayer. For some people, that may be mantras or singing kirtan. For some people, that may be spending time in nature, really connecting with the elements. For some people, that may be having coffee every morning with the ancestors, you know. That's one of my practices that I really enjoy. I like to, you know, pour a cup of coffee for my ancestors and pour myself a cup of coffee and just start my day kind of connecting with the ones who went before me and just sharing from the heart what's going on in my life, what I'm focused on, asking for guidance to help me, you know, choose the best way to move forward through the day, and to be receptive to the guidance that they bring me. And it's really magical, I have to tell you. I really do enjoy reading, you know, like a chapter of an inspirational book, you know, somebody who knows how to take action. I actually, I'm going to do this 40-day, you know, panchakarma, and I will be kicking it off on, Monday. And I'm definitely going to probably pull out my Tony Robbins Unlimited Power book, you know, and maybe just read like a chapter each morning, you know, and just kind of drink that in and let it sort of seed my actions for that day. Just plant a seed that can help me get better in touch with my potential. You know, Tony has really passed on some amazing gems to me, and very pitta guidance, you know. how to hit that mark. And you know, he faced a lot of intense challenges in his life. Like his success did not come easy. You know, he really worked for it, and he definitely employed these principles. You know, he definitely employed these principles of, you know, the mind, body, spirit dynamic, how to get them all on the same page, and how each part is critical. You know, each part is critical for achieving success. So I think I'm probably going to go that direction, get a little bit of that inspiration in. But that's sort of like my meat and potatoes inspiration for the day. And then I'm going to have my time for my soul food and like connecting with my ancestors, you know, connecting with my ancestors, connecting with spirit as spirit speaks to me, and just bringing that in for the day, and having a really good, solid daily morning practice and daily evening practice of self-care, and uh, coming into center, and bringing it all into balance, mind, body, spirit, and holding my feet to the fire, you know, to follow through, doing that straightening by fire, tending to the actions of the day that I determine each morning, and giving myself that one day each week of really beautiful self-care. And it's nice to take all of these components, right, and really put this like spiritual intention behind it, because whatever speaks to your soul is really what's going to get you invested, you know, on a heart level that connects you to that feeling of purpose and passion, and will give you the drive you need to follow through when maybe you are having a rough day, maybe you are running into some challenges, which inevitably comes up anytime you do Panchakarma. Okay. So I often suggest to people that it's really lovely to like set up an altar to represent your 40 days of Panchakarma, and um, really bring in a spirit of reverence, sort of like giving yourself your flowers for being willing to, you know, do the work, show up and do the work, and deal with the things directly that you maybe up until now have swept over under the rug, that have, yeah, now you're sweeping them over the rug. They were swept under the rug. Now you're sweeping them over the rug. You can't ignore it now. Out, damn spot. You know, but it's a very good way to go. It's a very good way to go to, uh, you know, have this sort of visual representation of your journey, and what it means to you. You know, it's sort of like during the times it's challenging in these 40 days when you're like, yeah, you know what? I don't really feel like doing yoga today. I don't really feel like, um, you know, making myself a nourishing meal. I just want to go and get some junk food, or I don't really feel like doing the work today on my website, whatever it may be. Okay. It's at those times that it's so helpful to have like a visual representation, a simple altar. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It can be a little bedside table. It can be a shelf, or you can make it as elaborate as you want to be. And on this altar, you have symbols of why you are doing this. Why did you decide to start this journey? What is on the other side of the work? What is on the other side of the investment? Why did you begin? Why did you take this first step out of the crossroads? And you can see it. And it's a beautiful way to connect you to your experience, and also to let it grow and evolve with you. Because as you go through this process of transformation and bringing your vision into being, you can take things off the altar. You know what? I thought I wanted that, but I'm seeing the way my vision is shifting. And this happens, right? When you're in the creative flow, when you're in the process of building a dream, like sometimes you think you want to go about it a certain way. And then through the growth process, something shifts for you. It changes. So you can take symbols off the altar when they've served their purpose, and you can bring on new ones. And we used to do Panchakarma at the Dhyana Center when I was working at the Dhyana Center. We would do Panchakarma, and we would set up the rooms, and the whole room would be like an altar, and we would fill it with fresh flowers, and beautiful symbols, special stones that we found on walks that had special meaning to them. We might have feathers or, anything of symbolic personal meaning. We would really set the tone, set the intention for the Panchakarma, for the healing journey with this altar, creating the space for it. So again, it's like, make sure that in doing your preparation and making sure you have nutritious food on hand, making sure you kind of have, the books that you need, that you intend to read, or the things outlined on your schedule to keep you organized, or all these different movable parts, right, that are going to get you to your goal. You have all these practical things in place, but please, remember to make space for your spirit in this. It's such a cathartic process. And I will share that I've been having a really cathartic process myself in my own work, just to kind of close this talk today. And my process has been, sort of a journey where when I first started out with, my Ayurvedic practice online through Cover's medicine bag, I intended to kind of have everything all together, but then I also had this vision of, bringing in Broad Coven, and Broad Coven was going to be a separate thing, and that was going to be to express a different side of myself. And I do see the value in some respects of keeping certain aspects of the Ayurvedic practice separate from what I do with Broad Coven. But I've been through this big, journey that's sort of taken me full circle. And I did at one point really keep the two separate, but lately I've been feeling so pulled to bring a little bit of this Ayurvedic influence, this wisdom from the Vedas, the science of life that is Ayurveda, and infusing it into some of the work that I do at Broad Coven, in particular when I feel like something really comes forward, in one of these sessions where we drop in and sort of look at the work of the week. Sometimes I really feel it would more benefit the collective, and that it's something the collective really needs to receive. So I think I'm going to share this with Broad Coven. I've done this a couple times, and I feel like this is one of those cases. I'm going to share this with Broad Coven and sort of open this Panchakarma journey, to sort of a wider collective, and just say, if this resonates with you and you're interested in going on this journey of transformation and stepping into the empowerment of heal thyself, and you are ready to bring that thing into being, make your dream happen that you sort of put on the back burner for a long time. You're ready to step up to the plate. You're ready to hold yourself accountable. You're ready to do the work, and you're willing to learn. You're ready to be open and to explore. I welcome you to take part in this. And, starting next week for the 40 days of the Panchakarma journey, I'll put up a little video each week. I'm not sure what day on. I don't like to get too rigid of a schedule when it comes to what I'm creating on YouTube. I really like to let it free flow, and I find that that's what really resonates with me. I don't ever want it to become contrived or formulaic. I want to flow with the energy and let spirit bring it through as it wants to come on through. And I'm really getting the call right now that this would be so good. And I'm actually going to pull a card, okay, for the collective, just to see sort of what the theme will be of this Panchakarma journey, so we can all collectively hold it for those of us who are going to opt to go down this road. And I'll post a video weekly on Broad Coven over those 40 days. So people can connect as communities, support each other, share their experiences about their journey of transformation, things they're bumping up against. And wouldn't it be cool, just to support each other as a community and transformational growth, to really taking tangible action individually in our lives, taking that level of accountability, because the reality is at the end of the day, if everybody, did this, if everybody moved through life in such a way where they committed to this process of self-transformation, it's truly amazing the shift it would create in the collective. Okay. So I feel really compelled just to offer the space for that, to create, some kind of community support for that. And I love the idea of doing like a weekly Panchakarma check-in. Maybe I'll do like a reading, like a Panchakarma reading for those who decide to take on that journey, just to help give them support as they move through the experience, and maybe share a few different Ayurvedic techniques to support people that they can experiment with, and see how they can bring the gift of Ayurveda into their life. I like this idea. It's kind of spontaneous and it's coming in, but I can flow with it. So let's just see, Spirit, what is coming in to support all of us that are going to be embarking on this 40-day journey of Panchakarma, this journey of self-transformation through accountability by taking tangible action toward the manifestation of a goal or vision that aligns us with our purpose at this point on our path, along with the openness to receive radical reroutes, new directions that may emerge along the way, to be open to the experience of it, the process of it. Please guide me and the collective in the best way for us to move forward on this journey. Ooh, okay. We got two cards here. We have the magnetism of arrows. Okay. And we have Shekinah. So what I really see here is this is about creating that space, right? Creating that space to allow the vision to come in. Look at that energy, at the top of the card here. It's that ether energy. It's the download coming in that creates the movement, that starts the cycle of manifestation. And it's about creating the space to align yourself with that energy of receptivity, so you can really receive the guidance you need that will move you forward, that will spark your vision. It's allowing this illumination to come in. I just also got like really clearing the channel, that this will be an important part of it, clearing that channel, that Sahasrara, that crown chakra. A lot of times when we really feel held back by different opinions, different judgments, things other people say about our choices, this can really disconnect us from our purpose and our center, because we're living our life on other people's terms. It's so frequently common for there to be a lot of courting, of other people's energies in the crown chakra, when you are choosing to go in a direction that, is very personal to you, close to your heart, but maybe is not in alignment with what other people think you should be doing, or they don't have the same vision you do. We all have our own vision, our own ways of seeing things. And you might be really diverging from the pack in your goals. It might cause you to sort of challenge old beliefs and old perspectives, and you might be really dismantling the definitions other people have slapped on you about who you are, what you're capable of, why you're here. And I really see it's about having that quiet, that quiet strength that comes from being in integrity to trusting the inner voice that you hear. Notice, there's no talking going on here. She's just very peacefully listening and receiving through this clear channel. So I think this is really going to be a process. You're going to be dismantling those belief constructs, the things you've taken on from other people's opinions, their perspectives, their judgments, their labels, and opening yourself up to a different kind of movement that isn't prompted by what's happening on the outside around you, but from what is birthing within you. It's a very inner journey. And then I believe that this is what brings, the passion and the purpose, and it brings a uniting of that Shiva Shakti energy. In Ayurveda, the Shiva energy, the masculine energy, that yang energy, it's the avenue, like we opened up with. It's the avenue. It's the road opening up for the creative energy to come through. And then the feminine, comes forward, the Shakti comes forward, and it births the creative potential through the avenues. So these energies work synergistically within us. It's about unifying these energies within us, the Shiva, the Shakti. And I'm really getting the hit, because I'm looking here at the color tones of these cards. I think it's very important to put focus on, I'm seeing, in this magnetism of Eros, I'm seeing definitely Muladhara chakra, right? That Muladhara chakra, the root chakra, and the Svadhisthana, that sacral chakra, front and center, first chakra, second chakra, womb space, right? Womb space for Svadhisthana, which is all about the birth, the birth of the creative potential. I also like to look at that space, because, men relate to this energy too. And so, this womb space also, it's like the cauldron. It's the cauldron of creation. Svadhisthana is the chakra that is like your creative potential. It's also your sensuality. It's your sexuality. It's the place inside of you that actually has the spark of creative energy that gives form to the intangible so it can come into being, right? So I see there's going to be a lot of alchemizing work to be done, and it really involves that Muladhara root chakra work, which is all about getting grounded, making sure you're having grounding practices, which involves taking good care of the physical body, okay? Making the vessel sound, and all that Ayurvedic self-care, these daily practices, self-massage, doing some yoga, some meditation, some pranayama, eating nourishing foods, having these daily self-care routines, doing a once a week, very, thorough day of self-care that's all just about sinking in really deep without any distractions, deeply nourishing the self, mind, body, spirit. That's very much Muladhara, root chakra energy. And then, for the Svadhisthana chakra, it's about allowing yourself to spend some time engaged in some kind of, creativity. Remembering to bring creativity into your day. And creativity can even be in the way that you move, like be willing to switch it up, do things in a different way, experiment, explore, discover. All right. And we'll go into specific things too when I do the weekly reading. Hello. I'm back. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I guess that's really a message, right? Because everything happens for a reason. So, it's about creating that space, that space, that openness, that that moment of not having things figured out, right? And just kind of going with the flow, and that allows creativity to come in. So I kind of get that need to sort of get out of the head, make sure that you're holding this space that allows creativity to really come forward. And I'm getting this sense of there's a need to really shed um, your ideas about how something has to be done, and to be open to new perspectives, new ways of doing things. It's very interesting, very interesting. But I see this is a very important part of the creative process, is bringing a lot of focus into that first and second chakra, the root chakra, Muladhara, and the sacral chakra, Svadhisthana, okay? And clearing the channel, clearing the upper channel, clearing the crown chakra, Sahasrara, to really allow the openness where you can receive guidance from your Atman, your higher consciousness, spirit, however you choose to view it. And this is what will bring the manifestation forward. And it lands you right in your heart, in that place of passion and purpose. It lights you up like a spark. It's almost like this figure, Aurora of Gamma. This figure almost looks like the flame of a candle, like the spirit of a candle. I like how down here it almost looks like this priestess crescent, right? That high priestess crescent moon energy, just the way that energy is forming. And this here, it looks very much like a peacock feather. So I think this is about really stepping into your radiance and letting the inner beauty within be externalized, so it can shine forward in the world, and help light that spark in other people. There's amazing things that happen when we really go for our dreams, when we allow ourselves that space, when we allow ourselves that space to really just to be open to the transformational process of birthing a vision and being in the moment with it, and not getting into rigidity, and not getting attached to how it comes about. It's sort of like the difference between, actually pulling the arrow back, in the bow, and having the courage to, yes, the sight you've set with your goal, but having that courage to let go of the quiver and trust the arrow to hit the mark in the way it is meant to. And the route it takes to get there might look a little different than what you have planned, but it sees you really stepping into this place of, I see this as like your time to shine. I think there's really this moment of acknowledgement of the work when you come out the other side of it. All right. And I think that the acknowledgement, it's first going to begin with you. And that's what's going to make it such a glow up, is this recognition of self-affirmation. It's really powerful. And it's going to be a big turning point. I just want to do one cut of the deck energy. I just love these cards. They're so pretty. And I love how they expand on these kind of talks. Mm-hmm. Mm. Solve Paluti, 741 hertz. You know, I'm seeing two things in this image. You know, first of all, you know, I see this light that's wanting to break through, this radiance that's wanting to shine. And that's really about, you know, your purpose being activated and letting what lights you up inside be the gift you bring forward into the world. But it looks like what's kind of covering it is almost like these strings. Again, it's this like this feeling of cording, like what have you allowed to kind of get corded into your heart space that's separated you from what really lights you up and gives you joy. And it's about, you know, extricating yourself from that, like cutting those cords, you know, doing that work, releasing yourself from everything you've kind of spilled your energy into that isn't actually aligned with what really lights your fire and gives you a sense of passionate purpose. So there's going to be some time for self-reflection, some time for looking at the shadow aspects and looking at the ways you've, you know, given your heart space away to things that weren't really in alignment with what gives you true joy. And I see you creating some space, some time to come back into that place where you can actually make contact with your heart, and clear what's getting in the way from you really dropping into that place so you can bring that light forward and shine it out into the world for all to see. So this is what I have for you today. And I thank you for tuning in and spending your time with me. And I'm very excited to embark on this. I got all kinds of like little interesting things happening in the moment very spontaneously that have been arriving through these lives I've been doing. And some of it is kind of unexpected, but I'm in that creative process where I'm just flowing with it and I'm trusting where it's leading me. And I hope that you will approach taking this step onto the path of Panchakarma with the same spirit and just let yourself see what potential it can birth in you. Until next week.